is up, everybody, and welcome back to another MMA show brought to you by Rumpier Sports. We got UFC 299, and I got the crew with me today. We got JBC, Dan, and my guy Hey Yo in the house today. Hey Yo runs the playbook over at Rumpier Sports, so filling in for DC. And I'll throw it to you first, Hey Yo. What's going on, man? How is your Saturday going? You ready for some winners?
Oh man, I'm ready. Let's get this show on the road, man. I think UFC 299 is sneaky better than UFC 300. I mean, you can't complain with both, but I'm excited for this one, man.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining with either of the two cards.
No.
For sure. I think they're gonna be both sick cards. But JBC, fresh off the Run Pure Sports party, as he reminds me and Dan as we jump on the show. How is your day going, JBC? A long trip. How was the trip?
Good. It wasn't that far, and I just, I went there from Atlanta. Flew from here to Atlanta, and Atlanta to Lexington, and then to get home, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna fucking rent a car. So I rented a car and drove the 4 or 5 hours back home. Was pretty smooth, much better than dealing with the airport. So.
Yeah, I hate dealing with the airport. So I'm with you on any way to avoid dealing with airports. I'm 100% on board with that. Dan, you ready to go here, man? I know you love these cards, but big one today.
I'm ready to go, man. I thought last week we really nailed it. So I was like, I was like the third build last week. So I was extra motivated to get going on this one. Started on Sunday morning, just looking at this. It's a ton of fights too. So it's a ton to get into. So let's do it.
we were on a lot actually that kind of smashed here. A couple, we said it playing those two stud 9K guys that were clearly the best two options that both smashed. I think we only gave out one guy that was even viable in the 6K option. He ended up winning outright. Shout out to Big T. I think Big T had him in his core and bet him too at +500.
Oh, yeah, that fucked me up bad. I had no Zahavi.
Yeah, that was the one thing we had on the show was he was the only playable guy down there. But
I thought that it would be a loser down there that would win. That was my thought process, and I just played a little bit of all of them just because I didn't think any of them were going to win, and then of course Tony nails it.
Yeah, I had too much of the Sapaj actually was okay even in the loss, but that vicious knee was just absolutely sick. So
that was gross.
It was absolutely that was a sick fight, by the way, but absolutely sick the finish of that fight. But yeah, sick. It was actually a pretty fun card last week, and this card's going to be even better. So let's get into breaking it down. We're going to do just like we normally do here, going from the top tier on DraftKings salary wise, and we'll break down these by tiers. So starting with the 9K, and we'll work our way down. So we got Alma Baez, Gamrot, Despain, O'Malley, Phillips, Merez. 9K and up.
Damn,
I think there's going to be a
you
clear.
got one of those right.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna butcher. I'm gonna butcher every single name going forward.
Me too.
It's a tough one.
I don't even know how you expect me to not butcher all these names. You should just expect that right now. But I'll go to Hey Yo because he actually backed me up and said he's gonna fuck all the names up too. So I'll go to him first. How are you ranking this 9K range?
Yeah, I mean, okay, Despinage. Is that how you say it, JBC?
It's Despania.
Despania, there you go.
Okay. I can get down with that.
You were closer than me, Hey Yo. I'll give you that.
I was a little closer. Yeah, we'll take that victory. I mean, yeah, he's number one. He's got to be number one. I mean, his ownership, we have him in between the mid 30s. I think he's obviously the best overall play, but I mean, that's pretty obvious, right? He has almost a 70% implied win probability in round one. So obviously he's going to be the best play. So no hot take there, but second, I actually kind of and this might be a hot take, I'm not sure, but Miraz a little bit. I know Dan is going to think differently, so I'm interested to hear his thoughts on that in a bit. But I think she has a lot of grappling upside. I don't think she's going to be too highly owned. Obviously, she's not the smartest fighter. There's a chance she just stands and trades for 15 minutes, and she's not going to score well. but I do think she has passed to land multiple takedowns and get some top control. And I honestly think she can submit her sometime in the second or the third. Like I wouldn't be shocked at all. So I think she's pretty sneaky. So I like I already forgot how to pronounce the dude's name. Despinois.
Despania.
Despania. That's right. Despania, Miraz, and then I like Almabaev. I mean, I think I'm worse. I think I'm worse than JSU. I'm not even gonna lie. But
I thought that was the one I got right, but
you did get Almabaev right. You got Almabaev.
I was gonna say JVC was lowballing me with one. I was like, I got Gamrot right.
You said Merez, which was that like hurt.
Yeah, that was bad. Okay, that was bad.
I got Miraz.
Really bad.
Yeah.
Is it not Morose? Is it not Morose?
Is it Morose?
It's Morose. It's Morose.
I don't even know.
All right, damn it, JVC. You're going to go first on the next one just so you can pronounce all the names correctly.
100%. But yeah, those are my top three, I think. And obviously, Sean O'Malley in the main event. I mean, I think he can. It's just interesting. Depends on how you see that fight going. I think that he is. It's going to be tough to finish, but if he goes 5 rounds, man, he has a chance to land a bunch of significant strikes on Cheeto. Cheeto takes a lot of damage, especially early on. So if you see it going the full 5 rounds, which I do think that he could score a lot. But I do think that the other 3 are slight priorities for me. But that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, JBC, he likes Moroz. Moroz is coming in. I mean, one of the lowest owned, I think, in that 9K range. Is she someone you're getting over on in the big MME fields? And how you rank in this 9K range?
Not intentionally. I think she's a better play than Kyler Phillips, but among the other ones up there, I really don't have as much interest in her. Almabaev, I want to kind of get over the field. If he's only in the mid-20s, I think there's heavy upside for him to win early, even though it isn't going to be quite as obvious of a spot as Despania. Gamro is a similar situation to Marab a couple weeks ago, where RDA is probably good enough and durable enough that fight's going to go all 3 rounds, and Gamro could really rack some takedowns. So I think he could be a sneaky one up there. But I agree with Heyo that Despania. I like Parisian as far as like a bet at plus 300. For a guy with only 4 fights and minimal cage time, Despania, that's kind of a sizable number for him. But at the same time, it's more than 50-50 that he's just going to floor him in like 10 seconds. So, and that would obviously make him optimal. So from a DFS perspective, you kind of want to be at least field on Despania. Fading him or, trying to get under is not the way. But beyond that, I think O'Malley, because I think O'Malley is like O'Malley's a very, very good bet at minus 255, minus 260. So I think that and I don't really see a path where he's not optimal because he throws so many strikes if he wins. So I think he's obviously the best play up there at 9,200. I think it's about 75% that he's optimal.
Yeah, Dan, what are you doing here? I'm looking at your ownership sheet on the Rumpier site, and you got Moroz coming in really low owned in this 9K range, 14%. Same with Phillips. Either of those 2 guys you're looking to get higher on than the field, and then what are you doing with the rest of the range?
No, I'm actually pretty low on Phillips. Moroz, I think JBC already said it. Like, I'm getting over on her, but not intentionally. It's just she's not getting played much. And where Wood really struggles, she gets submitted, and that's Moroz's best path. I'm taking Wood in that fight because I think she just gets in her face, pressures her, puts the volume on her for 3 rounds, and scores really well. So I've got a lot of Wood.
That a boy.
Also, wait, hold on. I want to complain at DraftKings real fast. How did they still have on, her listed as Calderwood, and then they've already got Chukagian's married name?
I know.
Yeah, that's bullshit. I agree.
Yeah. That's the same thing.
Like what?
Yeah, it's bullshit. 100%. When I saw that, I was like, "Who the fuck is she?" Did they
do that overnight, but then Calderwood, they still fucking have whatever.
Yeah,
it's strange. I think there's a lot more downside to Despania than pretty much everybody is willing to acknowledge. I mean, there's a world where he wins and still doesn't score very well.
Tuppy's going to get in there and hump him, baby.
I mean, yeah, I like the bet on Parisian. I like playing him as well. You know, he's like 8%. Nobody's gonna play him. He's 6,900. If he wins, there's a pretty good possibility. No matter how he does it, he's nutted. So I like getting over on him. Again, not hard to do. But for the most part, I agree about what the priorities up here are. Almabayev, I think, could definitely smash. We only have him for like 25% owned. I'm slightly over on that. Yeah, I think the 9K range, we've pretty much covered it.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the guy I can't play is Phillips. I'm definitely not playing him. I actually think he loses, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Moreau's, I think she could win, but still not be like, optimal in this range. But I could see a path where, she does end up putting up like, 100 DK points, which could end up being the winner, depending on how, Despaigne ends up like these guys said, if he kind of doesn't get that bonus finish early, which I think people are just thinking he's going to come in there and knock the dude out in the first 60 seconds, because that's what kind of happened in that last fight that people are seeing. But there is a step up in a lot of this competition here, not a lot of, cage time. And I think Parisian's going to try and drag the fight as long as, like, he's, you know what I mean? He's going to try and fight smart and say, okay, let's see what this guy looks like after a half a round, a full round, like anything, you know what I mean? Let's see what this guy does. Because the one thing that worries me, though, is Parisian he's not really known for power. And a guy that is going to own this Despaigne dude is someone that he is a little timid to walk right through. I don't think he's going to be timid to walk right through Josh. That's my only thing with this fight. And my worry with Josh Parisian is it needs to be someone who has at least some threat of power to throw back at him to make him say, okay, wait, I got to be a little more measured on my attack or my approach on this guy. And I don't think Josh Parisian's that guy. So, I mean, yeah, I'm definitely going to play a lot of him. I'm not going to play as much Parisian, but I get the idea behind it and the path. If this guy kind of tires out after a round, if you can drag, even if you lose the round, even if he gets beaten up for a full round, he could end up going back to the stool and still be the fresher guy in the second round because the dude's just gassed and tried to finish him for a full round and just blew his load. So I get the idea behind it, but it's going to be Gamrot, Despaigne, Almabayev, 1, 2, 3 for me. I think Gamrot racks up a ton of takedowns here against RDA, so I think that could be a pretty big score. But let's move to the 8K range here, and we got a lot of guys in this range, and we'll kind of start with BSD, Macy Barber, Michelle Pereira, Della Maddalena, Kevin Holland. We'll go there 8,500 to 8,900.
Hey, you got those right.
Listen, I knew there would be a range where I'd crush. I will say,
let's hear you pronounce BSD's name.
Barber, Holland, those were pretty easy.
Let's hear you pronounce BSD's name. Let's hear it.
Benoit Saint Denis.
It's Saint-Denis.
Oh, shit.
Come on.
Damn it. I thought I had it. I really did. And I'll just start off by saying, that I think BSD, I'm locking BSD. I love BSD here. I think that the way this dude just is running through people, which I know there's a step up here. He's fighting Dustin Poirier. You're going to tell me all this stuff, and I get it. But the way he just ran through Matt Frevola was fucking impressive. I mean, from getting takedown to sweeping, getting back up to his feet, and back on the pressure, this dude is relentless. And I think he's just going to end up drowning Poirier. I think the pressure and everything is going to end up being too much. The dude is tough as hell. And I think in the end, I get experience and all that, but BSD just has that dog. And I told myself after he ran through Matt Frevola, I was not betting against this dude, and I had to see someone just finish him. I got to see him get finished because this dude is really, really good. And I just think in the end, his pressure is just going to get to pretty much everyone he's going to face. This dude's going to be a champ soon. So I really like BSD. And then after that, for DFS, I don't really like as much of these guys for DFS coming up, like Barber, Pereira, Jack Della Maddalena. I like them more for the betting side. Like I like JDM as a bet. I love Kevin Holland as a bet. I think those are two guys I'm going to be heavy on from the betting side that I have less of in DFS because I think they can win and still not be optimal at their price tags. Michel Pereira is the one that I think he could end up being optimal. I probably like him next. And then after that, it'd be JDM, Barber, Holland if I had to rank them. But Dan, I'll throw it to you. What do you got here on this range?
All right, in this range, I actually just loaded up a new file. I was tinkering over here, but I really like Pereira. And I thought I was going to get to more of him, but it's tough because I'm also jamming BSD, and he's not in this range, but Kudalaba and BSD are really taking up a lot of my exposure here in this range. After Pereira, I've got Holland, Maddalena, and Barber, all about the same. And it's like, it's not much, but it's just like a sprinkle in 150, just got to have it. Yeah, I'm pretty laser focused in this range on BSD. And
is there anyone you like from like the betting side? Because I know DFS and betting, like I talked about a little bit, they're a little different in these scenarios for some of these fights. Like, is there anyone that you want to like slam from the betting side that you're a little lower on in DFS?
I like Holland a lot. I think that line should be wider. JVC shaking his head. I want.
All right, JVC, why do you like?
I don't think your MVP is better than Holland. I don't
get it.
Venom,
Venom. I don't think they're setting them up for success either. Like, you think they're gonna bring over a guy and have him smoke?
No,
like
they are setting him up.
UFC vet.
They are setting him up for success because he's not fighting a fucking wrestler. Like, I don't see Venom losing to a striker. Come on, I don't.
That's a good point because Holland's not gonna try
he's
and
not
like
gonna
get
fucking wrestle him.
I mean, listen,
Everybody
if this became a grappling match, I would take Holland in a heartbeat because Holland can fucking grapple when he wants to.
But it's not about being stupid. It's about entertaining the crowd, which is what Holland loves to do.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know, man. If you watch his last fight versus JDM, that wasn't super entertaining.
Yeah,
he was fighting to win that fight.
Yeah, I don't know.
I just think Kevin Holland's better.
I think Holland is just straight up like has him pretty much everywhere.
Yeah,
and I think it's like
I didn't
narrative street to be like, well, he's just not going to take his best path. I know we've seen him do that before, but I don't know what's going to happen here.
One thing that intimidated me a little bit was that he wore the cowboy hat to the press conference. That was he got in his face with the cowboy hat. You fuck with a British guy wearing that hat, like I like that.
All right, JVC, do you want to rank this range?
Santini's obviously number one, just because if he wins, it's nutted, pretty much guaranteed. Kind of like O'Malley, or at least my point on O'Malley. I'm obviously very, very concerned about the staph infection that he had last week, he could still be on some medications for that, and it could affect his cardio. But I mean, at the end of the day, this is a guy who's special forces, so they're kind of just built different. I think that the UFC would take pretty extreme measures to make sure that fight was not pulled off the card, even if he wasn't all right. So that's the only thing that really worries me about Santini, beyond the fact that he's fighting Dustin Poirier, who's pretty fucking good. And then, in the lower range there, Pereira and Della Maddalena, I've got them both in the mid-20s. I think that they've got decent finish odds. You're looking at between 35 to 45% that they finish. It's pretty fucking good. And if there weren't so many other superb plays like Santini, Kudalaba, Despania, as in the favored range, you would see a lot more ownership on Pereira and Della Maddalena. But I think that they're going to go overlooked despite having like an infinite ceiling. That and Gilbert Burns is pretty durable. Oleksiejczuk I think is going to be pretty competitive, if not win the fight against Pereira. So that could be the problem there. The Holland fight, I really think it's going to be a point fight. Like, they're going to stay at range, they're going to kickbox, and I think they're just both going to score like fucking 40 and split decision. And Venom will win, and I can dunk on Dan. But I hate the Holland fight for DFS. Hate the Barber obviously could go the same path as Gamro, where he just fucking takedown, or she just fucking takedown. But other than that, I don't really see her scoring very much. It's not like she's fighting a dust ball. Chukagian's pretty fucking good, so I don't have much interest in her either.
Yeah, Heyo, what do you see here in this range? Is there anything are you high on Kevin Holland? Give your take on that fight, and then what do you got left in that range?
Yeah, with the Holland fight, what is it? Over 1.5 high fives in that fight. What do you think? Right, like
over.
Over.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
Over. They're sparring.
Yeah, exactly. They're gonna dap it up about 2 or 3 times, almost at a minimum. Yeah, that's not a fight I'm too interested in for a DraftKings perspective. I think it's gonna be super slow paced kickboxing. I do have to disagree with JBC. I hate that, man. That's never a good side to be on. But I like Holland to win the fight quite a bit. I just don't know where MVP is better. He's older. I think his durability is shot. He just got, this isn't a knock, but he just got absolutely smoked by Mike Perry in bare knuckle. And again, Mike Perry is the bare knuckle king, so that's obviously a different sport, but it is still boxing. I just think Holland's he has the reach advantage. I think that he's better just everywhere this fight goes. And if he's smart, which we know he's really not, he would take him down and have success there. But I still think he's going to be able to outpoint him and win a decision. But BSD, he's the best option in this range. If he wins, he's gonna score a ton. But I do want to touch on that fight a little bit before I finish the rankings, because I know we have some disagreements here. I think we actually have a 2v2, because I saw JBC was on Poirier too, which is good. A lot of people are saying that this fight has similarities to like Volkan to Poirier, and I don't see that at all, right? Both guys, the age similarities, and the both guys just lost with a head kick the fight prior. But Volk, that was 4 months ago with Volk. This was 8 months ago with Poirier, right? I don't think that's a concern. Also, I think Poirier is like a really, really high level fighter, and I'm not saying that BSD isn't, but I wasn't sure where Volk was going to be much better than Topuria at. And when it comes to this fight, yeah, BSD, he obviously, right? If he takes him down, he's going to have his way. He's durable. He does have power. There's a massive discrepancy between their striking. It's honestly not even close, in my opinion, right? I'm old enough to remember when everyone said Max Holloway was the best boxer in the UFC, and we watched Dustin Poirier piece him up on the feet for 5 rounds. He went toe-to-toe with Conor and pieced Conor up on the feet as well. If this fight stays standing, which of course that's a big if, of course he could take him down, but if it stays standing, Poirier is going to light him up on the feet. BSD takes a ton of damage, and I know he's durable. I know he's tough as hell. I know he's never been finished. I get that. But he still is going to accumulate a ton of shots. Poirier is just going to have his way on the feet. And like I said, I get it. If BSD is able to take him down, it's going to be over. But I think an interesting element that not a lot of people talk about in this fight is that this is southpaw versus southpaw. So the head kick element with BSD comes into play much less. It's much harder to land that head kick when it's southpaw versus southpaw than when it's southpaw versus orthodox. It's just the way the kick is set up. The way you're able to swing that kick around, it's not going to happen near as often. So I'm not super concerned with that from that perspective. But also, I think I would not be shocked to see if Poirier comes out and starts landing a ton of calf kicks on BSD early. And of course, he has to be worrisome of BSD catching it and taking him down. Like I get when he fought Conor, he didn't have the concern of Conor catching his leg and taking him down. He didn't have that worry. But I still think he's going to be able to eat that calf leg up. And I don't care how tough, how durable you are, man. If you're not able to put weight on that lead leg, you're going to struggle in this fight. And especially then if you're not able to get takedowns, and especially if this fight gets later on, I like Poirier, honestly, a decent amount. I know most people are on BSD, but I think Poirier can have his way. So from the ranking, BSD is still number 1, because if he wins, he's gonna take multiple takedowns. He's gonna submit him, and I get that. And also next would be Pereira. I like him, and then probably JDM. and then Holland, and Barber. Barber has pathways, obviously. Like JBC said, she could take her down, but Barber's not very smart, and honestly, she fights on thin margins. So we'll talk about it later. But I actually like what's her name now, Sermonian. What's her
Yeah,
name?
just call her Chikagian. Just call her.
Yeah,
Thurman
I'm gonna call
Nara.
it, yeah, 2K again. I'm gonna call her that. I'm sticking with that for sure. But I actually liked her as a bet. I know the odds I think dropped a little bit, but I got in earlier on the week on her. I think this fight just ends up playing way closer. Like Barber, her last fight, she looked really good against Rebos, but the fight right before that, I thought she lost a split decision to Andrea Lee. Obviously, the judges gave it to her, but it was still a really close fight. And Chikagian is much better. Obviously, she is older, and there's all these other concerns with her personal life, right? That just happened, and where her headspace is and all that. But that stuff's hard for me to quantify, so I'm not going to really focus too much on that. But so I'm not a big Barber fan. I don't think she does well. I'm not going to have much of her or Holland. JDM, I'll have a little bit. I do think he wins the fight, but like you guys said, I could see it being a slower paced fight. I think it's BSD, Pereira are probably the main two options there. And I don't remember if Cutelaba was in this tier or not, but
No.
he
wasn't.
say
But
no?
that's all right. If
Yeah,
you wanna
yeah,
give
yeah.
your
Well,
take.
yeah, I mean, same thing with what Dan said too, man. I like him a lot. He's going to be one of my highest owned guys. I just think,
Yeah.
that fight's going to be a war. I'd imagine the winner's probably going to be on the optimal. These guys are going to come out and bang right away. And Cutelaba not only has tons of power, but he has wrestling upside too. Like, I wouldn't be shocked to see him take Lins down and dominate him there. So that's about where I'm at in that range. There's not honestly too much to love outside of a couple people, but that's where I'm at.
I feel like one of the things that I think you brought up some good points on the Poirier fight, and I think the more you talked about, the more I'm like, I think this fight should be an all-in fight either way. Like we're talking DFS right now. We're not really talking the betting side because obviously I'm on the BSD side, but it sounds like an all-in fight because if it does go the way of Poirier, he's gonna finish and probably be optimal. Like if it does go his way, he's probably gonna rack up enough points to be in the winner at that price tag. And you look at the other fighters down in that range, it's like you could have, Wood, Moon, like he's clearly one of the best, like just clear fighters in that range. There's
If Dustin
really
Poirier
good
loses a
fighter
5-round,
options.
if he loses a 5-round decision, he's gonna beat Joanne Wood and Caitlin Chikagian and probably Munoz.
Correct. The only way they even have a chance is if they're winning outright, and even in decision wins, those girls could score very poorly in their 3-round decisions.
And Vera ain't gonna score either.
Well, we'll talk about Vera in a sec because Vera is we're all on different sides of this Vera fight, I think. So we'll get to Vera here in a sec here, but I do like some of the points. I still think BSD wins this fight. I will say too, the pressure that he put on Matt Frevola creates all these scrambles to where he's throwing up head kicks. So your stances are great, but when he's pressuring you and you're forced to just abandon what you do for a little bit, and I think that pressure is just going to drown on pretty much everyone he faced. Like he's going to do that, I think, to everyone he faced, and Poirier is just the next person in line. But I get it. If it stands for 5 rounds, it's advantage Poirier. I just don't think that's how it's going to play out ultimately. So let's go to the next range here. Cutelaba, Peter Yan, Blades, Almeida. We got to talk about the Blades Almeida fight because I think that's one we're going to be split. JBC, you look like you're pretty amped to talk about that fight. So start it off here. What are you doing with the rest of these 8Ks? And bring like Song and Felipe Lins into this range as well.
All right, I'll start with the best play of this range, which is Cutelaba. Cutelaba's my biggest bet on the card. I think he wins very, very, very early. Tony, do you know what a staph infection is?
Don't worry about it, Tony. He's a fucking savage. He'll be fine.
Cutelaba, I think, finishes Felipe Lins like off the rip. Like I think he just fucking hulks him, and that's it. So I love the Cutelaba play. I love the bet. Jan, I think is also a very, very, very strong bet. And I think that but it's going to be less action than the Cutelaba fight. And I think Jan wins on points. and it doesn't end up being very high scoring. So I don't have as much interest in him from a DFS perspective. The next fight, I'm going to tell you, Dan, Curtis Blades is better than Almeida at everything except jiu-jitsu. So I don't see, one, he's going to get pieced on the feet. Two, he can't knock him out. Curtis Blades' losses are all to one-shot knockout artists. Ngannou twice, Derek Lewis, Pavlovich. And three, how the fuck is Almeida going to get him to the ground when Blades is a better wrestler and get the jiu-jitsu on, start fucking with him? Like, he's not. Like, Curtis Blades is going to put this motherfucker to sleep. And people are like, thinking, oh, somebody told me Blades is dusty. And bro, Blades is only 4 months older than Almeida.
I don't think Blades' defense is there.
They're the same fucking age. So that's not an argument either. So I just...
Poor defense isn't an argument.
He does not have poor wrestling defense. Nobody risks trying to take him down at heavyweight, so maybe he got caught a time or two. None of it led to a loss. So I just don't see how Almeida wins this fight. I really don't.
I mean, JBC, look at who he's fought though. His last few fights, like you're looking at a lot of like big strikers. Curtis Blades has fought like, this is a different fight. Almeida's going to actually pressure him and try and take him down, whereas a lot of these guys aren't even trying.
Right, and but Blades clearly is not going to train wrestling before he fights Derek Lewis.
Right?
You think he's not training wrestling right now?
I mean, he can, but I still think Almeida's going to be better in that aspect. You don't think he can take Curtis Blades down?
No shot. No shot.
I think Blades is going to end up on his back, and he's going to be in big fucking...
You know who's going to end up on their back is Almeida after he gets knocked the fuck out.
Well, if he stays standing, then it's definitely going to be a plus to Blades, but I just don't see the fight staying standing. It seems like you really like Blades as a DFS play. So what, him and Jan are like your two favorite plays?
No, Kudalaba and Blades are my favorite DFS plays in this range. But to go down Song, I've got really no interest in playing Song. I think even if he wins, it's on points. I don't see him knocking Jan out. Lins, obviously, there is upside because Kudalaba, if he just burns his whole gas tank, then fucking he's going to get knocked out. So, if that happens, Lins could end up scoring. So I have more Lins than Song. I have more Lins than Jan. But I do think the two best plays in this range, and it's not like I didn't play Almeida because there's obviously upside there, but I think the two best plays in this range are Blades and Kudalaba.
All right, Dan, I know you disagree with JVC on the Blades Almeida fight. If you want to touch on that, go for it, and then the rest of that range.
Yeah, I've got a ton of Almeida. I've got like 45% Almeida. I agree with everything JVC said about the Jan Song fight. I think Jan wins. I think he's a way better bet than a DFS play. Just like JVC said, that's going to be a point fight. I'm playing a little more Blades than I was planning on after I talked to JVC earlier, but I have a feeling I'm going to regret it because I really, really think that Almeida makes quick work of him. Just
Dan, don't you fucking back down on your stance here. Just jam him in there.
Blades is going to make quick work of him like I would make quick work of Dan in the octagon the same way.
I don't know. I think Dan would get you.
Dude.
Dan looks like he might have to reach too, James.
Yeah, Dan is like
screwed.
Dan is probably a foot taller than you, JS.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, he's got a foot on me. You're screwed. He's got the reach and everything.
No, Mark is dust if we ever hit the octagon.
I got Dan. Okay, so are you high on Kudalaba too? Is he one of your favorites in this range? Yeah, me too. Okay.
Yeah, it's Almeida, it's Kudalaba, and then I've got Blades, then Lins, Jan, Song.
Yeah, I mean, it just feels like we're talking about it as like there's two really good fights for DFS in this range. It's the Blades Almeida fight and it's the Kudalaba Lins fight. So those are going to be the better DFS plays in this range. But I kind of am on the Dan side with Almeida, and I agree with JVC that Kudalaba is the best play overall in this range. So I'm kind of on both your sides a little bit. I think Jan is a better bet than a DFS play. I still have a little bit of him. The guy I have less of is Song. Felipe Lins I do have a little less of, but I get why people are playing him because that fight is gonna be a good DFS fight. So like you do want some Lins, unless you're just jamming Kudalaba, which I am doing personally. I am just jamming Kudalaba and thinking he starches them. So, Heyo, you got anything different here in this range?
No, all pretty much the same. Cutelaba, Lins, and then Blades, Almeida. No real interest in Jan and Song. I was on Song earlier in the week, not from a betting perspective, but I think I'm getting talked into Jan a little bit more. I do think that fight probably just plays out of range a little bit. It's a kickboxing match, hard to go against Jan in that spot. But yeah, I think Blades starches Almeida too. I'm with JBC. Like Almeida just he better just pray that Blades doesn't stuff the first 2 takedowns, even 1 takedown. Almeida's going to shoot probably right off the bat, I'd imagine. Look, take it down. If he stuffs 1, he's going to get knocked out, man. Like
that uppercut's going to hit him right off the bat.
Yeah, man. It's like Blades just has a theme to the people he loses to, you know? Like I said in the chat the other day, unless Almeida turns into Francis Ngannou overnight, man, I'm not like I don't think he's going to knock him out. I know people talk about his chin, and yeah, maybe his chin is dust, but it's hard to tell, man, when Derek Lewis lands a meme uppercut and Francis Ngannou knocks him out and Sergey knocks him out. Like, these guys knock out almost anybody they touch, right? And Blades generally fights a little hesitant against those guys. I don't think he's going to do that against Almeida. I think he's going to feel more confident because Almeida's strength is his grappling, where that is generally in most Blades fight. That's Blades' strength, right? Like, Blades is trying to avoid the big shot and look for takedowns. I think Blades is going to knock him out. But I think both guys are going to be good for DraftKings. I would imagine the winner is going to probably score well and more than likely get a finish somewhere in like the first or second. So, pretty much I agree with the panel here for sure.
Yeah, JVC, there were a couple questions about the staph infection, BSD, where you heard it from, where the news came. Like he was on the show.
Yeah, he was
right?
on Embedded and he had it. Yeah.
So, I mean, he definitely had it. I think he's fine by now, honestly. He's had it for that long, but who the hell really knows, I guess.
They hit you with that amoxicillin and you go to sleep.
Have you ever taken amoxicillin?
No, it's been a long time.
I'm allergic to amoxicillin.
No, my brother was allergic, so they didn't want to give it to me. And I remember, I don't know.
Oh, God. All right, Dan, are you on Despania? Apone wanted to ask, are you on Despania? I think you were pretty high on him, right?
Yeah, I've got 33%. I'm definitely playing him.
So you're like at the field with. I think he's going to come in like right around that too.
Yeah, he might come in a little bit higher just because those ITD numbers are like absurd. And the talk all week is just like what a physical freak this guy is. I think like for one, like
fat over Jack always.
There's not much. There's practically no tape on him. But the one thing that I think that I noticed was like his head kicks are fast as fuck, man. And like for a guy that size to be able to throw up a head kick that fast is just I
don't know. I watched his Taekwondo.
I want to play that.
I watched his Taekwondo in the 2012 Olympics, and he looked kind of slow.
Jesus. All right. Let's go.
Last fight, dude.
I was thinking about saying something about him, and I was like, All right. Let's go to these mid-7 guys. We got Paige, Burns, Olajaychuk. I'm calling Urchikagian. What are we doing here with this range? Heyo, I'll throw it to you first here since you went last on the last one. Who's your favorite like DFS player too in this range?
So just those 4, right? Not counting DP.
Correct.
Right. Okay.
DP is the small last range.
Yeah. So I'm not even going to try to pronounce this dude's last name. So I'm going to go with Oleg. I think he's probably the best play in that range. A lot of upside. I could see him knocking Prayer out. Prayer just gets a little too funky sometimes, man. Like he messes around in there sometimes, hops in and out of range. I could see him just getting caught and getting put to sleep. So I like him. And then Burns. I don't have much interest in Paige, like I said about the Paige and Holland fight. And Chukagian, I mean, her ownership is really low. I think there are paths for her to maybe be in it. It's hard for me to see her scoring like really well, right? Like I don't know what would it take for her to get 100 points. I don't really think she has massive grappling upside. She does throw decent volume, right, for the women's division. So maybe that's the case. I don't really see her excuse me, I don't really see her finishing Barber on the feet. Maybe a sub, right? Maybe she could get Barber down and sub her, because I do think.
I was going to say a takedown and maybe a finish. It would be the 100-point way somehow.
Right. Because Barber is the better wrestler, but as far as like grappling and jiu-jitsu, it's not even close. Like Barber has literally, I'm not worried about Barber at all in that regard. So I think Chikagan maybe could do that. But so she would honestly probably be 3, and then Paige would be 4. But mostly it's going to be Oleg, and then, like I said, I do think Burns loses, but Burns obviously is.
Sorry.
Did I pronounce something wrong?
No, look at what B-Nair said.
No, I also agree Barber has nice feet.
B-Nair's been sliding in the DMs all morning, man. I swear, all morning he's been sliding in the DMs.
It sounds like B-Nair.
Fart in a jar and everything, man.
I will say that Chikagian, to me, I think she's a better bet than a DFS play. Like, I don't think she scores well, even in a win. I don't know if she's going to beat, Poirier in a win, Munoz in a win, Vera in a win. Like, I don't think RDA, if he somehow, I think there's better plays down here for DFS, but I'm going to bet her, because I do think both these girls, they've both been winning a lot of close decisions. So I think it's going to be, the line should be closer than what it actually is. And I could see Chikagian pulling out a split decision here win. So I do think this is a very close fight that goes to the cards, and I'm going to bet Chikagian as a dog. But DFS, I'm going to be lower on. I like Olajaychuk for DFS for sure. Then it would probably be Burns and Page, I guess 2-3. I think they're pretty close, but Olajaychuk would be my favorite DFS play in this range. JBC, how do you see this range?
Yeah, I agree. Burns and Olajaychuk are the two playable guys here. I've got them both around a quarter of my lineups. There's a substantial upside as far as, if they win, they could get a finish. And, Gilbert Burns got thunder in the hands. And, Della Madalena's great, but, catch a guy with a shot. Della Madalena's not looked invincible in all of his fights. So, he could win. So, I definitely have him down there. Caitlin Chookagian, the only way that she's going to get there to me is the volume striking. And, he mentioned her volume, and it is substantial, and she has gotten there before. It's been rare, but if she and Macy really isn't going to be able to strike with her. So if she just beats the shit out of her, that is the path for her. So it's I didn't flat fade because of that, but really don't like her very much. Venom Page, we talked about it earlier. They're going to dap each other more than punch each other. And it's going to look like that commercial with Stephen Thompson and Kevin Holland, where they, for Cuervo or whatever it is, where they just hug and talk to each other in the ring. So that's how I feel about that fight.
Dan, do you have anything else to add on this range? Anything different?
Nothing different, really, man. It's Mikey O. It's Gilbert Burns.
Mikey O.
Mikey O.
He's
I'm not
Isn't is he Polish? Is he Polish?
That's a veteran knowing that he does not want to pronounce that name.
He's Polish. So. You're Polish. You know how to pronounce that. Do it.
It's Polish shake. But I was trying to keep it brief, which is now shot to shit. Thank you. But yeah, I think he's the clear best option down there. He's fighting a wild man. He comes forward. He throws. I could totally see those two guys just meeting in the middle of the ring and fucking swinging on each other until one of them falls down. So love him. Got a quarter, just like JVC said. I've got slightly less Burns because I think JDM wins. So my interest in that fight for DFS overall is pretty low. I think that's the range. Chikagian, I've got 6% just because I don't know. I'm a coward. She might, if she gets there and I have none, then I'm gonna be fucking upset. So sprinkle.
I definitely feel like that line should be closer than what it is. So I don't know how good of a DFS play she is, but let's go to the last range here. Poirier all the way down, and I think we're all gonna agree on the 1-2s in this range. It's after that, because I would assume that most people would have Poirier and Vera 1-2 just because of the fights and everything like that. But Dan, I'll just start with you here in this range. How are you ranking these guys And who's like your favorite dog in this range if you had to pick one like that you see winning?
Well, so I'm shoving both 5-rounders. So I've actually got the most VERA down here. Because I think he wins. I think he wins inside the distance. I think the fight is gonna get extended. I think over time, Cheeto's gonna wear on him and he's gonna catch him. So I've got him for the obvious like KO upside that I think is there. And then next, I've got a ton of Calderwood or Wood, whichever you prefer. Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about Chikagian's volume. Calderwood's got way more volume. And she's cheap, man. She's not going to be owned. I think we've got her at like 13%. I've got like 30. So I went a little bit overboard, as I tend to do. But you know what? Like, if she wins and is nutted, which I think she has a really good chance to be, probably a better chance than basically everyone below her. Like, I'm a full fade on RDA and Vergara pretty much. Like, I don't think RDA, I think he's just going to get wrestle fucked the entire time. And Vergara, I just don't think he has anything for Almabayev at all. He's not going to be able to get up off his back. Once he's on his back, he's fucking done for. So, yeah, I'm shoving Calderwood pretty hard because of all that.
Yeah, so I kind of agree with you. I'm on the VERA side too. I think he does finish it too, which I think if you're betting VERA, I don't see how you bet him any other way besides inside the distance, because I don't see how he wins a decision. Like, they ain't giving him a decision win. There's no friggin' way. Like, if this fight goes to the cards, even if I thought he won 3, it's going to be one of those things where he ends up losing a split. Like, he's just not going to win a decision the way this dude comes out the first round or two, slow, and he kind of builds off of that. I think how he wins is catching him late in the 4th or 5th round, and VERA has the power. We know it. The dude, when he throws, he can do serious damage. I do think he catches O'Malley. It's funny, though. We're split on the 8 chords that do picks on the site. This is split 4 and 4 right down the middle for VERA and O'Malley, which I was actually surprised because I thought I was going to be like very few people on VERA on our site, and it looks like it's split. So some people do agree on this. JBC, how do you see this VERA fight going? I think you're on O'Malley. Yeah, you're on O'Malley, but what are you seeing here with that fight and then the rest of this range?
Marlon Vera is not going to win. I don't really see, the first fight, obviously it was kind of fluky. O'Malley's only gotten better. Cheeto looks like the same fucking guy. Don't see him actually being able to connect with O'Malley because of the reach disadvantage. I think it's a mismatch, and that's why the line for the first time they fought was so much higher than this. And now, it's gotten lower because Vera won the first fight, but O'Malley just beat Aljamain Sterling. Like, O'Malley has shown he's better. Like, I don't understand the love for Vera whatsoever. I'm only playing him because you need to be able to play somebody down there, and I don't want to go 60% Josh Parisian. And he could lose and still be nutted if nobody else wins. So that's the only reason I'm really playing Vera at all. I don't think he has much of a shot. Biggest guy in the range, Poirier, is in my core. I'm almost 50% on Poirier. We spoke earlier about how it's going to be a war and he's going to score even if he loses. Love Poirier down here. As far as Joanne Calderwood, I feel that the fluke has happened to O'Malley twice already. Twice?
I mean, really, he's still undefeated.
Are we talking about, twice? I don't get where he's coming. Where's twice coming from?
He's still undefeated, though, JBC. He says that fight doesn't count.
Yeah, well, same as John Jones. Except John Jones's was really sus.
Yeah.
I mean, he lost the Jan too. I don't care what anyone says. Friggin' lost.
No, come on.
He lost.
I bet O'Malley. I bet O'Malley against Jan.
Dude, we had O'Malley.
I bet O'Malley and I scored it for O'Malley. Go fuck yourself.
I'm pretty sure we scored it for Jan. if my memory serves right.
Well, you know,
I was gonna say, I was
blocked
We-
that
we all
out.
felt like we
I
got
was
burned.
on Jan, and I wanted to jump off my roof.
Let's go back.
when
Let's
that
go back.
decision
Then.
came in.
Let's go back to that then. Piotr Jan would fucking destroy Vera. It's not the same. That's not the same at all. Like it's there, dude. Anyway, going back to that range, you spoke. Calderwood is the same play as Chikagian to me. You know, they're only going to get there by volume striking, and it's totally plausible. So I've got around 5 or 6% on both of them. As far as Pedro Munoz, you talked about how you think he's going to win this fight. I agree with you. I don't think Kyler Phillips is as good as people think he is. And, you know, I think Munoz will win. But, again, point fight, I don't see either one scoring very much. And, you know, that's all. I don't really have much interest there. You know, the one that I obviously want to talk about that we've been bullshitting about all day is Parisian. You know, he's only got plus 370 to finish in the distance, which is better than Marlon Vera. So think about this for a second. You're talking about, Marlon Vera is going to start O'Malley. Parisian is more likely to knock Despaigne out than Marlon Vera is to knock O'Malley out.
Yeah,
that's a fact.
That's actually pretty crazy that you put them like that. But is there
facts.
any other way Vera wins, though, in your mind? Like,
Vera's
in your
not,
mind, is he winning a decision in any, like,
I think
in any path?
I think he'd have to wrestle.
He's not wrestling. We know he's not going to wrestle.
The only way that Vera is winning a decision is if he wrestles. So that, you know, and as far as Dan spoke about, you know, RDA and Vergara, Vergara obviously sucks. And the only way that Vergara is probably going to be optimal is, you know, if Amabayev, like, you know, whips his dick out and gets disqualified or something. RDA is obviously a good fighter. He's just old. So, you know, maybe he comes up with some wily shit, but I've got RDA in the range of Calderwood and Chikagian as far as how much of him I have. The play down there, other than the two main event dogs, is Parisian because he's a 0 or 100, and you want to take that shot.
Yeah, I talked about. I think Munoz is like the better bet down here. Personally, I think that his leg kicks is going to kind of kill the movement of Kyler Phillips. If you watch Kyler Phillips, he's like bouncy, moving side to side. He uses his movement. It's like one of his weapons is just his constant movement. Tricky to kind of square him down, get him down. And I think the leg kicks are kind of stall that. And in the second and third round, he's going to really struggle, on top of the fact that he gassed out in the third round last fight. I don't care what anyone says. Oh, he was still moving. A judge gave him that round somehow, and he won 30-27, but he did not win that round. Like, that was crazy to me that a judge thought he won that third round. He did nothing but try and move, but he was just tired, didn't throw anything. And I think that Munoz has the cardio to just kind of outlast his first round of power and then just slowly beat up on him for second and third. So I do like Munoz to win a decision here. I like that as a bet. Hey, yo, what do you see this range for the 7,300 and below?
Yeah, so I want to touch back on Cheeto and O'Malley for a second. I don't think Cheeto can win a decision, but I do think a decent bet is doing a split. Someone wins by split decision. I think it was like 5-1 last I saw. I mean, I could just see O'Malley. I think he wins rounds 1 and 2 at a pretty high clip. Cheeto is notoriously a slow starter anyways. I think he's like 1-8 in the first rounds in his last 9 fights or something like that. Cheeto is. And Sean starts off hot. I think he wins first 2 rounds. And I think if you're banking on Cheeto, right, the thesis is that Cheeto comes on late. We've never seen O'Malley get to around 4, and Cheeto starts to put it on him. And I wouldn't be, completely shocked if Cheeto did start walking O'Malley down, right? If it's a late 4th and it's a minute, 2 minutes left, you see O'Malley looking up at the clock and Cheeto's just pushing the pace on him. I wouldn't be completely shocked at that either. But if the last 2 rounds are somewhat close, man, judges are funky. I just wouldn't be shocked if one judge did think Cheeto wins the fight. So I think that would be interesting from a bet perspective. But from DFS, I mean, it's Poirier and Vera. And even Poirier, I know we said earlier that we think that he has to finish. I don't even think he has to finish him to score. Like, if Poirier wins a 5-round decision, he's going to land well over 200 significant strikes. Like, in my opinion, he's going to absolutely pummel BSD if he wins and it goes to a full 5 rounds. So I like those two. And then again, I agree, it's Parisian. I know it seems nasty, but if you just look at like just the odds in Vegas, man, like out of all the people in that range, outside of the guys that are in the main event, like he has a higher implied probability to win in round 1 than all those guys. He has a higher chance to win inside the distance than all those guys. Like he has a 24% chance to win inside the distance, according to Bet Online last I checked, and this is earlier this morning. 9% chance to win inside round 1, right? And you're comparing that to RDA with like a 6% chance, Vergara 6% chance. So I don't think he wins the fight. Obviously, like I think everyone kind of hears the same thing. More than likely, he's gonna go out there. He's gonna get knocked out. The UFC kind of knows what they're doing. They're bringing the Cuban fighter into Miami. He's giving him probably the worst heavyweight in the division, and they want him to knock him out and get a big pop and move him along. But that still doesn't change the fact that if this gets a minute and a half in and this guy's gasping for air and Friesen gets him in the clinch and he throws something nasty up the middle or something, and next thing you know, he's gassed and he's not able to go. Like that could easily happen. So I'm with you on those three. No real interest for me DFS wise on Munoz. Wood I was out on, but I'm not gonna lie, Dan is kind of talking me into it a little bit. Like I could see the pathway. She does throw a lot of volume, and like I said earlier, Moroz is not very intelligent, right? Like where she should just get to her grappling exchanges and have success there. She might just keep this on the feet, and if it's on the feet, Wood will probably score a lot. I don't play cash games, but it does feel like Wood would be probably a pretty decent cash game option because she is going to throw a bunch of volume, and this fight is the most likely, right, to probably go to the cards. So I do like that. Like I said, no real interest in Munoz, no real interest in RDA. Vergara, I mean, not really, but I wouldn't be completely shocked, like if he landed something late in the fight, he does have, I think, of a pretty decent gas tank. So but not too much of interest there. But it's mostly, like I said, going to be DP. It's going to be Cheeto. And like I said, I'm with JBC. I think more than likely O'Malley's just going to style on him for majority of this fight, and I think it's kind of people banking on the fact that O'Malley fades late. And I think a lot of people like to think because we've never seen O'Malley hit the 4th round or 5th round that means he is going to for sure gas, which is not a for sure thing, right? It's possible, but it doesn't necessarily mean like it's a lock that he is going to gas. And I think it's interesting to note too that in that Jan fight, Sean his best round was actually round 3.
Yes.
Like he threw 71 strikes, landed like 41 significant strikes, which was the most, and that was right after the 2nd round where he was on the bottom for like 3 minutes, right? Like he got taken down 3 times, and 3 minutes of top control time Jan did on him. So, and then he came out in the 3rd, and I thought that was the most clear round that he won, right? Like he looked actually really fresh. So I think that is an encouraging sign, and especially if these fighters don't just gas all of a sudden, right? Like generally there's something that makes them gas. Like, when Nate Diaz fought Connor didn't just gas, right? It was Nate Diaz hit him with a few shots, started overwhelming volume, and then you get gassed. But like if Connor would have fought Eddie Alvarez for 5 rounds, Connor probably pieces Eddie Alvarez up for 5 rounds, right? Because it was at his pace. So I think for Cheeto, he's going to need to overwhelm a guy like O'Malley with pressure. If he just stays and keeps this fight at range and they're just throwing shot for shot, it's not going to go well. But if he can get Malley stepping on his back foot, put the pressure on him a little bit, that's going to be his best path to victory. But pretty much I'm on the same page with everyone else here, man. It's Poirier, it's Cheeto, it's close your eyes and plug your nose and play some Parisian, and that's about it for me.
All right, and we hit lock. Let's get out of here. Before we get out of here, let's just give our favorite bet. Just your favorite bet. It can be a dog, whatever you want. I don't care. It can be just your top overall bet. JBC, I'll start with you. Who is just the number one, the lock? Who is your lock today?
Jan.
All right. Jan it is. Dan, you got a lock play for us?
A lock bet. I like the over in Parisian d'Espagne, whatever that is. Ooh. You're gonna get a good number. So
all right,
heavyweight overs, baby.
Hey, I like that. I'm still mad that I didn't get my 5-round decision win from Rosenstruck last week. I had that at plus 2,000. Fucking bullshit. Heyo, what do you got here? What's your favorite bet?
I like Holland, but I'm gonna go with Chukagian, man. I think I just think Barber fights in thin margins, and I think it's gonna be closer and play a little closer than the odds probably suggest. So
Yeah, I like that. I'm gonna go Kevin Holland just to stay safe. I like Kevin Holland to win here. I'm gonna take him. So that's gonna do it here. Good luck to everyone in their contests. Let's go watch those fights and hopefully be celebrating some winners in the Run Pure Sports Discord later. For Hey Yo, JBC, Dan, and myself, JSU. We'll see you guys next fight night. We're out. Peace.